All right, let's hop in. So I'm here with David Prohaska. C is silent. Also, David AMZ Hustle on Instagram and social media. Appreciate you joining me in the thick of Q4. So
Yeah,
thanks for being here, man.
absolutely, man. Glad to do it.
It's funny because we've connected online and people talk about networking and stuff like that. And you're really one of the first people, honestly, that I did it with. And I want you to know, like, I gravitated towards you so much because although I think very different. I don't want to seem like I know you, but I could really appreciate, and correct me if I'm wrong, you just have like a no bullshit mentality, like do the work, put in the hours, put in the reps and get your shit done. Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I could appreciate that. And you're crushing it. I've been following your journey. And before this, I hopped on Instagram to go back through your post of your bars, and like the growth you've had this year is insane. And I know we're in the middle of Q4. It's like December 15th today, or the thick of it. Like, what do you think you're gonna do this month when it's all said and done?
So it's really hard to say. I'm at about 70,000
Uh-huh.
for the month right now. And the way that FBM is going, like I'm FBM and stuff every day, like I think I'm already at like 3,000 for the day right now, but I don't at least probably 120,000,
Yeah,
something like that.
that's
I'm not
incredible.
sure. It's just depending, like, and a lot of my FBA stuff, I started pricing it lower, so like it's selling. A lot of that stuff selling. I still have quite a bit. I'm about to send in another shipment tomorrow, but
Wow.
yeah,
And that's, by the way, to anyone that's not familiar, with a full-time job. So that's freaking incredible. Seriously, like hats off
yeah,
to you.
yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
yeah, so I've seen kind of the last couple months what you've done, but let's go back. I listened to you on a different podcast. I want to know, refresh my memory, and for those out there, how did you get started? When did you get started? And of all the things like on the internet, like what gravitated towards Amazon as a whole?
So I got started in the beginning of 2021. January 2021 was when I first sent in my first shipment.
Okay.
I had actually heard about Amazon and like private label stuff like that back in 2015, and life just got sidetracked, and I went down another
Mhm.
different route, and then it was like 2020, and like I was saving up money for my job, and I was like, man, I need to do something. I was listening to Grant Cardone, and he said that you need to find something to put your money into where you get at least a 20% return. And so I'm like, well, what can I put my money in for a 20% return? And I was like, well, I could flip stuff. I've always sold stuff throughout my whole life, just,
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace, Offer Up, Let's Go, like all kinds of different places. And so I started buying like liquidation stuff from bulk. I was in some other Facebook group. I followed a lot of eBay sellers, and I started buying like liquidation stuff, and like I would list it, and like even though it was supposed to be a certain price and it was valued at this, it was new, like I wasn't getting the money that I wanted. Things were moving slow, and I don't like taking pictures.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that, writing description stuff. So
Yeah.
I actually listened to a podcast this on the side. It was like the Side Hustle Show, and Nathan from Hustle Buddies was talking about how he did his thing, and like so I joined like the Hustle Buddies Facebook group, and I was like, dang, I could actually do this. And
Yeah.
so um I I had signed up to get a seller account, and um I got approved, and like that was cool. I was gated and everything, but I was like, all right, well, I need to see if it works. I need to see, because like I have trouble trusting anybody and
Proof
like
of
trusting
concept.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I just need to send something. I just need to see a sale
Yeah.
happen. And so I think I sent in, and I know one of your questions was like the first thing you sold. So like I was on Twitter, and this guy was sharing bolos or whatever, and it was this thing from PetSmart, these like doggy puppy pads, and I think I only made like $2 from them. It was like $30. I made like
Mhm.
two, but I sent them in, and like they sold,
It
and like
worked.
I was like, wow, this is
Yeah,
crazy.
I know.
So that was January 2021, and
So, so you
yeah,
know what's interesting? I know yourself, myself. I don't know if you follow Oscar Martinez.
yeah,
I feel like Hustle Buddies was like the farm system, and like now we've made it to the pros, right? Like I
yeah,
know so many people that got their start with Hustle Buddies. I mean, Nathan and his wife, like they do a great job, and that's how I was exposed to it. And I also think they were doing it at the perfect time and they were putting out information. And so many people during COVID were doing searches, and it just like built this huge snowball of people finding them. So that's cool. So, okay. So you test the water, same thing. Like I was like, I've always flipped things as well. I was going to ask you like if you had history in that. And so you're working a full-time job at this time, or right, or a different
Mhm.
job, right? And you're just kind of testing the waters. And so you start with retail arbitrage then, like a natural gateway.
Yeah, I did. I started with retail arbitrage. I figured like getting ungated was really important to me. And I was like, well, I need to at least I feel comfortable going into stores and standing in the grocery aisle.
Yeah,
Like I felt comfortable doing that. I was like, I need to get ungated in grocery. So
yeah,
I think I watched some of Nathan's Hustle Buddies like videos on how to do that. And then, I did that. And also I started with about $3,000, $3,500,
I was
something
going to
like
ask you
that.
that. Okay.
I had about 2,500 saved. And then I was putting some money in from my job too. Like every week
Yeah.
I would put a little bit more, a little bit more. Like I was really dipping my toe in the water at first, and then I seen it working. And I think after it was all said and done, it was about $3,500 that
Okay.
I started with.
So, that's interesting because I started with retail arbitrage, and it's interesting. And I was going to ask you your take for beginners on ungating. I had a different mindset. Mine was similar to you. Let's prove the concept, make sure this works, learn how to create a shipment, all that stuff. And to me, there was enough things that were not, that it didn't matter if I was ungated or not. I was like, I always hear you're going to get ungated naturally in a couple months and organically on a lot of stuff. The only exception to that, I did go and get ungated in grocery. And that, if anyone's listening for retail arbitrage, I think grocery is like the best category to start with. It's replenishable by nature. There's minimal returns, and like everyone has grocery stores that do weekly sales and stuff. Um, so knowing what you know now, like why did you feel that how did you know you wanted to get ungated right away, if you can remember that? Because I think that's such like a hot topic, or not hot topic, but I think there's different mindsets on that.
Yeah, I mean, just scanning stuff and being in the stores and like I'm restricted and everything, like it's really
Yeah.
frustrating. And like
Yeah.
I know there's people that post stuff and they're like, oh, I found this and it's selling this amount of time, and like you don't have to be ungated for it. But like when you're new, you don't know where to look, you don't know like how to find stuff. And I think grocery, like I did that, and then I think Nike and stuff like that, I got
Yeah.
ungated. But like I never liked like I don't know. I just gets going like the Nike thing is a constant hustle of being in the store. Like where grocery,
Right.
like I could get stuff that I could be like, okay, I need to buy more of this because that's out, and I could actually build like a catalog of like things that I could continue to buy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what made me. I guess just scanning stuff and like realizing that like I
Yeah.
can't
I
sell
get that.
anything.
I remember that feeling, especially early on. It's like you don't really, not you, but like in general, you don't really know what you're doing. So you finally come across something that's like, oh, and I can't even sell it. If only I was ungated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel that. So you've been doing this for not even 2 years now. So you were doing retail arbitrage, like you said, 3,500 bucks starting up, give or take. What was the transition like? Give me some idea on like your first couple months sales, and when did you switch to kind of more OA versus RA?
Um, so I started in May. I think in March I got Nathan's. I bought into his course. The replay, he has a replan course,
Yeah.
and because I started out in arbitrage ops. I was in that group, that Discord. That was the
Yep.
first group that I was ever in. That was a little bit too advanced for me.
Okay.
Like I wasn't ungated in a lot of stuff. I remember one of the first things I posted in there was like, hey, what does this pink line mean on the Kiva graph? I was like, what is that? They was like, it's the buy box. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I the first couple months, like it was like $1,000 sales, 2,000, 3,000. I did that replan course. I joined in with like groups of people, and the groups, smaller groups that we joined with, like they're not selling anymore. But um, it was, I think, like after that replan course, that was when like I don't know, just something I was able to know how to find stuff in stores. I learned a little bit of online arbitrage, reverse sourcing, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Nathan taught that in his class. I didn't know anything really about that. Small and light. I learned about small and light, which is I still utilize small and light today. and the bundles, I haven't created any bundles, but it was just like, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I think my first 10,000 month was probably like May or June,
Oh,
something like
wow.
that.
Okay,
I think that
cool.
was my first
Yeah.
$10,000 month.
I think that's so I think it's great to that it's that I can't get it out. I think it's great to show that that took you 6, 7 months to get $10,000 months. And now look at what you're doing, a year and a half later from that. You know what I mean? And like, I think it's very natural. A lot of us want to get rich quick, hit big numbers quick, but like you were building a foundation while working a full-time job, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah, and I know some people want stuff like so fast, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Man, I need some money to make on the side." But like with Amazon, it's not like you start making money right off the bat. I mean, I guess
Right.
you can, but like you have to be more curious and like just want to learn about like,
Yeah.
growing it, like keeping money in the business for a long time. Like you can eventually want to make money from it, but like you first just have to be like curious about it. Like I love the hustle of it.
Yeah.
Like I like to,
I sense that. Yeah.
it's like a video game to me,
Yeah.
so
No, I while we're on that, because I was going to bring that up at some point, it's like I can't emphasize enough. I try to always be transparent, online and stuff. And it's like, I think you can make very good money doing Amazon, but it is
mhm.
a long-term play. And especially when you start scaling, you're spending, you get a taste of it. I buy stuff and now, oh, I find a new brand, new category. I can do this, this, and this. And you don't want to wait for all of your cash to come back to grow 1,000, 2,000 a month. So we all start spending more one way or another, capital, credit cards, we all, whatever our individual situation is. And what people don't realize, I think, early on is like, if I tell you I have a $10,000 profit month, which is accurate on my profit and loss statement, it doesn't mean my bank account reflects that the way a paycheck does,
Right.
because we're constantly so capital intensive on inventory, right? And I think that's something a lot of people don't grasp early on.
Yeah, the cash flow aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you make so much money, but like you don't really have that much. It is weird.
Yeah.
And I also too, I didn't get any like lending or so like my credit was like, I don't know, really bad when I first started. It's still not good. I still don't qualify for like American Express or any other credit cards. And then like, before Amazon, like I lived a pretty like rough life.
Yeah.
So,
I want
Capital
to get to that because I know you've openly shared that, but we will definitely get to that.
So
Okay,
like
cool. Yeah.
Capital One won't give me any credit cards at
Okay.
all. They won't. Walmart won't give me any credit cards. And I didn't qualify for my Amazon loan at first. And then I paid off a lot of like my collections and stuff and got my credit like a little bit good.
Hmm.
And so at the I think it was March this year, I got a $30,000 loan from
Okay.
Amazon. So like I had flipped like $3,500 into about, I want to say about $26,000.
And at
My
this point, you're not paying yourself. You're just that business is just anything that comes in is going back to the business. Is that correct?
Right,
Okay.
right. It's all going back. And I mean, I did buy like a MacBook and I bought, expenses of,
Yes.
Rolo
Yes.
printers and stuff like that. Like, but as far as like my own personal stuff,
Yeah.
like I don't think I started spending a lot until like, I don't know, probably this year around like June, I think,
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, maybe I'd take money out here and there, but like
Right. But three and
not a
a
lot.
three 3,500 to 26K is impressive. And you did it methodically. And so I think Amazon loan is a good thing to talk about though, because I took one out a couple months ago, and I'm curious your thought, like, what was your thought on taking it? Do you think, and what if you were to give like advice to someone considering it, like who do you think would be the right candidate, or what's the right mindset for using it?
So I mean, with the Amazon business has a few like moving parts to it. It's like sourcing, like being able to spend the money that you have when you do get the product, being able to prep it and get it to Amazon. So, you know, like if you're going to get more money, like how do you plan on prepping the stuff? How do you plan on sourcing the stuff? Do you have time to do it? Do you want to hire somebody to do it? Are you going to start using a prep center? Like, are you going to be able to get a warehouse? Do you have a garage or someplace like
Yeah.
that you could bring people to or like hire, or a lot of these questions, and like you're not really going to have the answer to those questions really,
Right.
but like it's something to think about. and they offered me a $52,000 loan, and I didn't take that much. I took 30,000 because like I was like, well, that's I don't know why I come up with that number, but I was like, that sounds about right. Which I wish I took more, but I knew that like I could probably and that's when I started looking for a prep center. I was in
Yeah.
groups and like was like, hey, what prep center do you guys use? And like talked to a few people, and I got in with a pretty decent prep center, and that's thinking about how you're going to spend the money, how you're going to source it. Like, what is your sourcing like now? Like, do you have like opportunities to where like you don't have any money and you're like, dang, I wish I had more money, like, taking
Yeah.
that loan? But like, even if you don't, like, sometimes it's worth it just to take it anyway and like grow into it, just taking that risk of,
Yeah.
you know, figuring out as you go. And that's what part of being a business owner is. Like, sometimes it's not like you're like, okay, I am ready to grow. It's usually like something happens and you're like, I have to grow. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've heard that before. I listened to I feel like you would appreciate this. I don't know if you've heard of Bear Performance Nutrition
I
and Nick
haven't.
Bear. He has I'll send you it later. But anyway, he talked about they were growing, they took on a warehouse they probably on paper shouldn't have taken, but it really, he was the type of guy, it forced him into it. And I just want to share because I think it's an important topic. Like I agree with everything you're saying. If you're not somebody that knows how to spend the money or that you're confident you'll be able to figure it out, to your point, to have it isn't the end of the world because you could always pay it back right away or at any time. But contrarily, naturally, you're going to pay interest. For me, it came down to I know what I'm doing. Um, I have so much capital or money tied up in the capital. It would be nice for me to take a nice loan from Amazon, increase my spending. And it basically came down to I owe X amount of interest every month. Will I use this money to make more than that every month? And if so, it's a net positive. And it came down to that. Now, I will say there is another factor, and this is about Amazon as a whole, which we can lead into because I was going to ask you anyway. But, there's always the fear in the back of your mind. You have Amazon's money now. So now your inventory is collateral. For me, it was nothing personal guarantee or anything, but like, it's just still like I don't know about you, but I get this feeling a little bit of Amazon being like the wild, wild west still. And I don't think anybody doesn't agree with that. And like, so I'm curious how you get to a point, if you are at a point that you can spend so much money and have so much trust in this wild, wild west beast that is Amazon. Do you ever have sleepless nights about that? Did you struggle with that early on? Like what was your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially too, like when I'm inventory rich and cash poor, as they say, like,
Yeah.
and it usually doesn't really hit me until like my bank account or whatever is at zero. And I'm like, dang, what if something happens?
Yeah.
I also think about like stuff like, does Amazon lose things that I just don't know about? Because like once you're doing thousands and $1,000s
Oh
a
yeah.
month, like things, I mean, small little things could get by. Like, I do think about stuff like that. The fear of, like, I think you can recover from anything that ever happens as long as you're following the rules.
Right.
There are going to be some unforeseen circumstances that happen. Things can happen. You don't ever know, but I think everything can be recovered from, aside from like selling straight up counterfeit
Yeah.
products. There is one thing that I heard, and like seller support is a lot better now. Like they call me now, you can talk to them, although they're really deflectors. They don't really help. They just kind
Yeah.
of deflect the situation. But a thousand asins, Dan from a thousand asins, he did an interview on a bigger I was about to say bigger pockets, on buy box bandits. And he had to get all his inventory sent back to him one time because they shut his account down. I don't know what the reason was for, but like that he couldn't get it back open for like months, and they had to send all of his inventory back.
Wow.
And so like that's something that I also think about too, like, because I mean I work out of my living room. Like I can't put,
Yeah.
I can't put $40,000 worth of inventory in my living room. So like
Yeah.
that's something that I think about. But it's also like, I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, part of, like the business mindset is like, you are going to be taking risk. And that's why we get the rewards.
Yeah.
And so, if it does happen, like, and if you're an entrepreneur, like you're going to figure out a way, like the confidence in like, I'm going to figure it out no matter what. Like, and not that like and not confidence that everything will go my way, but like confidence that like I'll be okay and I'll figure it out no matter what happens. Like,
Yeah.
cause you just got that winning mentality. So, I mean, that's,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree. I mean, I think your mindset is incredibly powerful, and you specifically, and you as a whole. But you know, it's funny. I always say the same to people like in my circle, but like to what you're saying, winners win. You know, I'm 35. How old are you?
34.
Okay, so I'm at a point like I know a couple people that whatever they do, they're going to be successful at, right? And it's like I kind of just think about that with Amazon. Like if something were to happen, we would figure it out. You know what I mean? You'd make the calls, you would do the right things. But I do want to share that I agree with you. I do believe, and call me naive or whatever, but if you're doing things the right way, by the book to the best of your ability, I think it would be in a complete freak situation to get deactivated. And even then, you can come back from it, unless, like you said, you are doing things against the rules. That's my take. Maybe it's naive, but that's how I sleep at night, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah,
um
and I've read on like some of the seller support forums, like the seller support forums, like people are really against retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, selling other people's brands, or like they have this argument that like you don't have the brand's approval to sell it. When they was like, have you read the terms of service? You don't have the brand's approval to sell it. And so like, you know, they make the argument that like, you know, you could get shut down because you're selling the brand's products and you don't have like authorization to do so, or like whatever it is. I'm not sure, but I think regardless, like Amazon thrives on third party sellers. Like
yeah,
that's like, you know, over 50% of like how their revenue and stuff. So
yeah,
like Amazon is going to work with us, like the health Amazon health reassurance thing
yeah.
now. I don't know if that really means a lot, but it makes us feel better, you know.
Totally agree. When I saw that, I was like, you know, I don't know that this changes anything, but the fact that it gives me peace of mind, it's not going to be an instant deactivation. Like the fact that they
Yeah.
even acknowledge it gives me a little bit of hope too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Plus, like when you're, you know, also this is why I sell, you know, small and light, fast moving products. Like when you are selling a lot, and you get this from like high volume sellers. Amazon Lit has talked about it before. Other like bigger sellers have talked about it. But like having good metrics and selling a lot of units, like when you can prove to Amazon you moved fifty
right,
thousand units in a year, like you're valuable to them. They're going to listen to you.
yeah,
And maybe I don't know, but
right,
it's just like you have better metrics. They're not just going to up and just cut your account off. Like, you know, some of my bigger seller friends, like they've got like, you know, they've had like, you know, 15 IP complaints and IP issues and stuff. And like, you know, they ended up getting them all fixed also. And like, so if something ever does bad happen, like I would probably go to Riverbend Consulting.
mhm,
I've heard a lot of people I use them for like refunds and stuff, but
yeah.
I've heard that they're really good, and can fix a lot of stuff. But like, yeah, anything can be recovered unless you're like selling fake counterfeit products, I think.
Yeah, and if for anybody not familiar, Riverbend Consulting, I've heard of. I used Nate. Nate put me on Seller Locker. Basically, things fall through the cracks, and these are companies that will fight on your behalf. You don't have to do anything to get you reimbursed for things that are damaged, lost on Amazon's fault. And at least Seller Locker, I think they take 20% only of things that they get recovered. So it's no fee. Is that how Riverbend works as well?
Yeah, yeah,
So if you're not using that, that's like no brainer stuff. It's just free money because so much falls through the cracks. And that was actually something I was going to ask you now that it's top of mind. You know, you're scaling so much, and you mentioned this, and you're such a big seller now. I kind of have this mentality that there does become a point of diminishing returns, and like you're doing so much, not you, but just you know, you start doing so much volume that so many more things are going to fall through the cracks. So many things, more things are going to get lost, more things are going to get, you know, I don't know, like not checked in. And literally, it's just not worth your time to stay on top of that stuff. And so I don't know. I guess just like, you know, for a lot of people, your sales go up, but then your margin goes down. You have to spend more time managing, you know, prep centers, VAs. Everybody's different. There's something that's beautiful about Amazon is there's so many ways to do this. But I do wonder at like, you know, I feel like I'm curious your take on this. Like certain people, maybe up to 50K, like if someone wants to do the prep and everything themselves, not deal with a prep center, not deal with a VA, that's around the number. And then if you're cool with VAs, prep centers, you can go 100 plus. But now, you know, you're not going to necessarily double your margin of what you did the first 50, but not for everyone else, you don't have to. So maybe I'm rambling a little. I guess what my point is, just like more money, more problems, like more issues arise, you know?
Yeah, I mean, really, having systems in place
Yeah.
of like what you're going to do if this happens, like, you know, returns or, you know, things getting lost in Amazon, like, do you document that? A lot of it is gets to a point of like, you know, and I've talked to some people, you know, smaller sellers, you know, smaller revenue sellers, and they're like, yeah, but this profit this, or like they might lose this. Like when you sell a lot, like it's, I mean, you do want to notice like if things are getting lost or damaged more often, but like it comes down to documenting it so that you can know to like write that off on your taxes
Yeah.
or you know, whatever the case is. But yeah, communication, setting up systems, like I was telling you before, like Amazon is like, you know, buying, sourcing, like that's a process of buying and sourcing. Like how do you buy, how do you source, how do you document the inventory, like do you, what's your systems of going back and looking at the inventory to repurchase? And then you got like the receiving of, if you receive it in, like how do you just stack boxes up in your garage, or like do you put
Right.
them on shelves? Like do you take it? For me, I immediately take stuff out of the boxes unless it's like all the units in one box, like so that, because things will start to stress me out. Like
Yeah.
I have like a shelf that's like, if things get damaged, like, and then once I document that they're damaged and write them off, I move them to a different shelf. You
Yeah.
know, how are you going to prep things? Like, how does that look? What's your process in that? And so like you can customize this however you want, but like once you have systems in place, like, because like we get overwhelmed when we have to think about too many things and make too many decisions about stuff that we don't know.
Yeah.
So having these processes in place, which just comes with time, that's like, you know, scaling and stuff, getting the Amazon loan and stuff like that. Like if you don't have the systems in place to actually scale, like it's gonna really like overwhelm you, and like you know, you get
Yeah.
frustrated and want to quit or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Like systems, man.
By the way,
Systems.
speaking of, you know, you have systems, you check things in different shelves and all that stuff. Let's say there's a site that you buy a lot of, right? And let's say you order, your most recent order was 20 units and two of them came damaged, right? But you order from them all the time. Do you personally let them know, or do you just take the L and say, I don't want to draw a red flag and bring negative attention because I buy thousands of units? Because honestly, that's kind of where I've been doing, and I might be missing out, but I don't, I'd rather that than like them see that I'm a reseller unnecessarily.
Yeah, so actually I just was talking to my friend yesterday, because like Target, I bought some stuff from Target. The very next day it was like listed, you know, like from $27 to like $18.
Yeah.
And he was like, just reach out to them and they'll price match it and give you your money back. And I was like, well, dude, I order from them all. I don't want unwanted attention to my account, but like,
Right.
you know, they have so much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even some sites are not going to like, they'll be like, well, so what's East Bay? Like I got a completely wrong order, and East Bay won't even like reimburse me or send me the right stuff or anything. So it's like $164 loss, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do just, you know, damage it, write it off. I actually got some stuff that was damaged from Target today that
Mhm.
I'm going to give it as like Christmas presents to some, it was like
Yeah.
some kids stuff. So I'll
Yeah.
just give it to them. Sometimes I did get some stuff damaged from Walmart, and like, I was like, hey, it come damaged, like, and I wanted to return it. So they just automatically reimburse me. But a lot of times if you want to say, like, if the stuff does come damaged and stuff, like I will, you know, you know, I don't know. It's really just how I'm feeling. If it's really expensive, like,
Yeah.
you know,
I get it.
I'll see if I can
Trial
get my money
case by
back.
case type of thing. Yeah, it's something
Yeah.
that's crossed my mind a lot. It's like I hate eating the product, but like you said, for one, a lot of it eBay stuff like that, if you're cool with that, donations if it's a low ticket item, you know, whatever the case may be, like, so yeah, I was just curious about that. So before we go any further, I just want to kind of bring this together. So you're less than 2 years in, the last couple months, because I wrote them down, like basically from June on, you've been doing 70, then the 80s, and 100 last month, 105, and you're going to do over 100 this month, full time job. And I'm bringing this up, as I mentioned to you earlier, because I know you've openly shared this before, and it's so like it's so inspirational. I would love, and I don't remember it all to a T, but your story, I mean, you were on hard times a couple of years ago, and if you kind of could fill people in on where you're at, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like my whole life, like I was like sort of raised in like a family that like everybody just sort of did drugs and like it was normal. Like dad drank, like mom did drugs, like and immediate family like going to prison, like going to jail, locked up. So like that was kind of like my life. And then like I kind of got out of that life and then I ended up going through like a really rough marriage and like that marriage like sent me like at the end of that marriage like I was doing like a lot of drugs and stuff and I ended up started living on the streets and like then I started selling everything that I owned and like getting on harder drugs and going through like and so like you know I was almost homeless and stuff like and in and out of jail and like people don't think that like your life can go down that quick and like
Yeah.
but it absolutely if the right circumstances and I've seen like some people like on Twitter, they're like, "Yeah, I took an Adderall and I'm fixing to like get the shipment," but like that's exactly how
Yeah.
addiction starts. Like nobody like wants to, you know, nobody's like having hard times and just starts doing drugs. It's usually because like the drugs give them an edge, and
Mhm.
so like I started doing drugs because it gave me an edge. And I was a digital marketing. I worked at a digital marketing agency
Okay.
doing SEO, PPC stuff like that. And like I would do drugs, and I could stay up all night working, you know, ranking websites, doing managing ad campaigns and stuff like that. And eventually, like I just took on too much, and I didn't know how to handle it. I was overwhelmed. I went through a divorce, and then like I was like out on the street, and
Sorry, when you say you're out on the street, I just want to understand, like, does that mean like sleeping in your car or
sometimes I slept in my car.
yeah,
My mom, I did stay at my mom's, but she lived in like a one bedroom like
okay.
studio, and like
Yeah.
I would just sleep on the floor in there. But sometimes I did sleep in my car.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep in the woods. I was really close to sleeping in the woods at once upon a time in 2019.
Not
And
long
then
ago. Damn.
yeah, not
Yeah.
long ago at all. And
Wow.
I went through, I got a bad infection in my hip joint and I had to go to the hospital and like I had to have surgery and like I didn't have any cartilage in my hip joint. So like from 2019 to like the end of 2020, I walked with a cane and like everywhere that I went, every day I was in pain
Wow.
and I had to wait for like a year and a half to get a hip replacement. And so like at the end of 2020 was when I got my hip replacement and I was like, okay, like I'm ready to like move on in my life and like start something different. But like in 2019, like I started my life over. I was 31 years old and like had lost everything, sold everything. My mom, my dad, like nobody, my family said that I couldn't come live with them. Like I needed to figure it out on my own. And so I went to the hospital and I got the surgery. From there, I went to like rehab. From rehab, I went to a halfway house. And the halfway house that I went to was actually where I started doing Amazon. And I would use their printer. I had a
Wow.
computer. I used their printer. I would have all this stuff on this pool table in like this a spare room and boxes and like everybody was like, "Oh, how's your little Amazon business going?" and stuff and like, "Oh, selling stuff on Amazon." And like so like from that halfway house and then I live with my girlfriend now and like you know so
Wow.
it's rough starting over, man. It
Yeah.
is
That's incredible, man. I appreciate you sharing that, but like that's so inspirational. It just makes me think of like no one has an excuse really, like it's funny. My childhood best friend, still best friend to this day, uh not identical situation and but basically he did a year in jail for getting caught up. He was always a hustler and just got basically someone ratted on him for selling drugs, right? And he's come out of it. He's always been successful, like truly. Like I think people think I'm just defending him, but like clean cut. He was just in it for the money. He never did it, right? He just
mhm.
loved hustling. He's gone on in South Florida to build like the largest pressure cleaning business. I know he does over 2 million in revenue. He flips homes. He has other businesses, and it's like it's just never too late to life is full of so many chapters. And again, I just really appreciate you sharing that. And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, holy shit, like I had so much respect for you, man. So hats off to you, really.
Yeah, I appreciate it,
So
man. I appreciate it. Not a lot of my friends have like made it out and like some of
yeah,
them are still in it, like some of them are dead. Like
yeah,
sucks, man. People are dying every day because of it. So
yeah.
I'm
Wow.
thankful.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. So all right, man. So So that you start there in Amazon, you build it up to where we are now. Something I want to go over, like, and I know it constantly evolves, but especially being that you work a full-time job, like, can you share with me how much you're sourcing? When are you sourcing? Like, how many? I think a lot of new people are curious as far as like, what does a day look like for an Amazon seller? And you're unique because of the full-time job. So I'm curious, like a typical day. I know we're in Q4, but like mid-year, let's say, or something.
Yeah. So like in the morning times, I always check a few different sites, deals of the day. Like, I do have stuff in inventory, like in my inventory, unlisted, whatever, like that I've bought before.
Mhm.
But I always like to check, certain sites. Is there deals going on? Be Frugal, Rakuten, Capital One shopping. Like I
Yeah.
want to see, and like, once put in so many reps, like, kind of like what you're looking for. But
Yeah.
um some of what I get like is networking with, like, sometimes other sellers, sharing leads and stuff. But um you know the beginning of the day is always like pulling up like my emails, what's on sale, what's not, what's my inventory looking like what's my repricers stuff set at, like,
Yeah.
um so that's in the beginning of the day. But and depending on how the day goes, like I will source, like do reverse sourcing. So like when I'm at work, a lot of times I can
Okay.
source while I'm at work, because like I'm sitting on a computer.
Cool.
I'm on the phones sometimes, like, and sometimes it's a lot of downtime between calls. I mean, it's like, 6 a.m. and like I take inbound calls for people trying to get into rehab and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so sometimes it's really slow. And so like I can source then. Reverse sourcing is something that I do. Sometimes I haven't really reverse sourced a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
love it as much. I used to like it more. I'm not into it as
Sometimes
much.
I do like to just like look at people's stores, and like I look at their stores and keep a product finder, and I like to sort their items from like highest price to lowest price,
Yeah.
and see, what's they're selling that's like really expensive. If I can get it, like usually expensive stuff has more, you can make more money.
Right. There's more
But
room to create enough profit. Yeah.
but a lot of times if I find deals like Target lately, when I'm sourcing in the morning times, like it's like your brain's firing off, like you want to be able to like source and like and think and stuff. So I sometimes I will take my phone and like I just open the Amazon seller app, and like for Target, for instance, the past few weeks it's been like, sale. So like I'll go to the toys section and there's like 50 pages, and like I have an eye sort of like of the brands and stuff that I want to sell and what's good. But like I'll just take it and like scan it, like with the Amazon scan Amazon seller app, and just go, item by item by item, just to see like what's it's selling for. And then like if it's something that like looks cool, I might open it up in a different, tab,
Yeah.
and do that. But like that's really an underrated feature that like one of my friends showed me a few months ago, that like I was like, how do you source? And he was like, I just take my phone and I scan the computer screen on the items and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
But so and then like I ship out maybe 1 or 2 days a week.
Okay.
Some days, like there's usually like a day like today, I'll probably like I'll gather a shipment together of like, I'll take inventory of like what I'm going to send in, because like sometimes you get so much and you want to send it all in, but like it would take you days and days to prep it. So like, I'll probably look at like what's easy to prep, like how can I get it prepped fast, like how long have I had certain items.
I like that.
And like today, like at the end of the day, I'll put together. So like tomorrow, when I wake up and like I want to get started and whatever it is, like prepping and stuff, I know exactly. I don't have to think about like what I'm going to send. Like I can, when you can walk into the room and immediately start prepping,
Yeah.
like you can get so much more done. So like I like to break that section up from like getting a shipment together and then actually starting the prep. Like
Yeah.
I like to break those tasks up, because like I like to walk in and immediately being able to start.
Yeah. I want to chime in on the prepping. I totally agree. Once you do this, especially if you're doing a lot of prep and pack at your own house, I feel like I agree with you that like every item is not created equal in terms of prepping and pack. Some you get them out like that, and some that like I need to get these in quick, like prioritize them. I agree with you. Like trying to knock it all out at once is overwhelming. It takes forever. Like I think whatever system you have, like you mentioned, sometimes I just say, hey, let's do 1 hour tonight, whatever we get done. And then typically, I'll round up to finish something or whatever. But all right. So like, so you're doing over 100 now. You used to do 10, right? You're not putting in 12 times the amount of sourcing time anymore. Would you just say it's like you said, you just, because your skills compound, right? You know what sites, like it just speeds up so much, but only through reps. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Putting in reps is really, really important. You just get a knack for certain things
Yeah.
of like seeing certain like, brands. I was really big, like I did a lot. Earlier in the year I was doing a lot of like grocery and pet and like some like toothpaste, bar soap type stuff. So like I had an eye for like stuff like that. When you see it priced at certain, if you see something priced at a certain like price, like what you're selling that on Amazon, or like
Right.
what something else might be selling for, so like you can dive into that deeper,
Yeah.
find different listings of bundle listings or whatever. But yeah, it just kind of compounds, and like you build up this inventory of like, you can just kind of like keep buying stuff, or like buy stuff that's sort of like that. Oliver Flips has a thing that like he's taken every lead that he's ever bought and like has it in a spreadsheet, and like so like Vitacost has a sale, like, and I wish I did stuff like that. Like I have so many, and I've mentioned systems on here. I
Yeah.
did not follow systems that good much at all, but like I
Yeah.
have lead lists. I have so many lead lists that I don't even check. There's like leads that I've sourced myself, that like of my own lead list type,
Yeah.
of like a big spreadsheet. I never go look at that. Like I really just open up like Amazon seller, like see what sold before, and like, is it profitable now? And then like,
Totally. If I could go, I made a video on this literally last week. If I can go back to day one, I would have kept track of every single product, not only that I bought, but also that was a good seller, even if there wasn't enough profit. You've already put in the time and the effort, and now you just, once a month, twice a month, whatever it is, once every 2 months, go back to these products. Like they fluctuate so much that what you see in that small snapshot in time is not
mhm.
forever. So that to anyone starting off, track your product sourcing from day one. That would be a huge piece of advice that I would have. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and like I was saying about like organizing it into certain stores, like, there's gonna like a lot of capital. You capitalize on certain deals, like Walgreens run certain deals,
yeah,
Vitacost, iHerb, and then there's a bunch of toy deals that's always
yeah,
happening and stuff too, here and there. um Keeping a list of like things, so like when there is a sale, like 25% off it, wherever, like you can just go and search like what asins are there. And
right.
but it's easier said than done. Like if I get a
I know.
VA, which I do want to get a VA soon, I probably will. That'll be one of the tasks of like, I'll send them all my lead lists and like organize it the way that I want them to,
Yeah,
or whatever. But even if I do have a lead list, like I still don't, for some reason I don't look at it. I don't know why.
yeah. I get it. I think it's very human nature of like, what's the newest thing on sale? What can I get my hands on now? A new product, new brand, like I don't know. But speaking of the VA thing, I was gonna ask you. So right now it's you use, I know you're prepping now because of Q4, but you're the only one doing the sourcing. You do the prepping and packing, and you also have a prep center. Is that correct?
I do. I haven't used the prep center like for the past month or two, just because I need fast turnaround
Right.
time. So, but yeah,
It's interesting. I think everyone that does OA wants a prep center, and I've yet to have anyone say, I love my prep center. Doing a prep center is great. You know what I mean? It's like this necessary evil because yeah, our time is worth more than prepping and packing because it's a low value task. But also, yeah, like no one's going to treat your business the way you treat it. No one's going to, they have 20 customers sending in hundreds of boxes. You know what I mean? Like, I think I mentioned this. I was talking to John, who is Side Hustle Experiment.
hmm.
I was like, there is opportunity for disruption in the prep center space. And I think there's opportunity there. But how has your experience been with the prep center?
So I've only had one, and it come recommended from I think Chris Grant had recommended them in one of his like OA VIP groups or something like that.
Yeah.
It's Prime Zero Prep. That's the prep center that I use.
Okay.
I can't complain like when it comes to them prepping stuff on time. Like nothing's inventory has never been lost. There was a time that like something did like wasn't received
Hmm.
by them, and I messaged them and they were able to find it. Like,
Okay.
so like that's really important to me of like not losing my stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
you
would
know,
say so.
sending stuff in. I haven't had any complaints about how the way this stuff has been prepped. Amazon hasn't said, hey, you didn't prep this right, or like this wasn't labeled, or like,
Okay.
you know, whatever. So
So that sounds good.
super important. They do charge, and like every prep center is different. This one is like $1.50 per item prepped.
Yeah.
So, but if it's a bundle, if it's 2 or 3 items, like if it's 2 items, it would be $3. If it's
Right.
3 items, it would be $4.50. So
Right.
I don't send bundles and stuff there.
Yeah.
They also don't make me pay for boxes and stuff. Like it's $1.50 flat cost. That's
Yeah.
it. There's no paying for poly bags or stickers
That's
or
nice.
so.
Tax
And then,
free? Is that in a tax free state?
yep, tax
Yeah.
free
All
state.
right.
And so the only thing is like, you know, sometimes like the timing of it can be sometimes a little bit slower. Um, there is one that a lot of my friends use called Network Prep.
Yeah, I've
They
heard of
have
that
one.
too.
Oregon, Oregon is the tax free one. He's got what's I think is it Charles, I think his name is
Chad, is it Chaz?
Chad. Yeah, that's
All right.
Chaz. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He's got one in Texas too, but I've
Yeah.
heard very good things about them.
Okay.
Very good things. And like
Cool.
they have it where like if you send over 2,000 units, like it's only like $1.25 per unit to
Yeah.
prep.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Cool. So I mean, just to give people context though, I think so many people so early on are like, the dream, hands off, whatever. But like, you know, I always say you can't get to working smart without first working hard, and like if you're gonna hire a VA, if you don't know how to source properly and communicate how to source properly, now you've just added something to your plate that costs even a little bit of money that's not going to be very effective. Like you have to figure it out on your own first. At least that's my 2 cents.
yeah, I
And
agree, man.
and I mean, again, I just want to emphasize you're doing over 100K a month by yourself, basically with a prep center and a full-time job. So like to give context, people have the time to do it,
Yeah, a lot of
especially,
it too. Like it's just a lot of the doing big numbers at this time is because of like, you know, FBM. Like,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, like I sell a ton of video games. I just
yeah,
picked up 25 video games this morning, and like they've almost sold. Like
crazy.
I do heavy video games this
Yeah.
time of year.
I
So
need I need to get into that. I think it's so easy to get comfortable. Like I've gone heavy in vitamins and I got heavy in beauty, but like, one of the biggest things that's opened my eyes is like talking to you and other Amazon sellers, and we share leads and stuff. And it's like realizing a lot of us don't even dabble with the other stuff, the ones we dabble with, and we're all doing good sales. And it's like, imagine once you have it all under your umbrella.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just there really is a lot of opportunity. So just to come back, I want to summarize to put a number on it. How many hours are you working on the Amazon business sourcing, or would you say on average, typical day?
Um, you
Admin,
know,
everything.
it's around 2 hours.
Yeah.
At least about 2 hours a day.
Yep.
On Fridays, on Thursdays and Fridays, like I probably work about 4 hours each day.
Okay.
um but it's an always on type of thing. Like
Yes.
there's no sometimes I lay in my bed and like we'll pull up like cells and like be looking through like different cells or whatever, or I have storefronts saved, people's storefronts. I
Yeah.
might open that up while I'm laying in
Yep.
bed and like scroll.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but like, about 2 hours a day. It could be around 20 hours a week, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just important to share to people. Like it doesn't have like it gets down to a very manageable amount, but it comes with all the reps before it. You don't just jump to that. But I remember actually something you put online really resonated with me. Like I might butcher it, but basically I don't have days off. I don't have days on. I just have days, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And like, I think as we grow up, we just assume that we want off days. We want to go chill and watch Netflix. And like, I'm not knocking anyone that does that at all. But you don't have to want that either. Like some people prefer to hustle and make money and like, or have a side business or whatever. Like, I'm seriously not judging, but you do you. Like, I think it sounds so, for me, it's more enticing that like, I don't want anything that I have to get away from because I want to escape. It's just like ingrained into your lifestyle. So I thought that was like spot on.
Yeah.
So
One of the things
yeah.
I've seen early on, that I used to watch Richie Hustles, and he
Yep.
said in one of his videos, you need to be getting out and you need to be going into like 4 to 5 to 6 stores at least every single day. And that really kind of got me out there.
Yeah.
I don't, he still puts out content, I think, but like doing that, like you need to be getting out in 4 to 5 different stores. Like if you can find it in their store, like look them up online. Like a
Yeah.
Dollar Tree is like a really good place, but it's, you know, cheap place. But like if you get on their online store, like you can order like in bulk at tax exempt, and like it's almost like a wholesale
Yeah.
supplier. So
Yeah.
you never know. Get out there and you never know.
Yeah, I listen, there you can find stuff everywhere. You just got to put in the time, and you just have to know that early on you're not going to know what you're doing. Like any other thing in life, you're going to stink at first and then you get better if you're committed to it.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you there. So, I want to ask you a couple questions before letting you go, kind of more geared towards like beginners so that they can understand some questions like I think that are important. Now, you mentioned about your startup cost, but like I know people say you can start for this. Like if you were talking to a friend, what would you say are essential tools, softwares, and enough for inventory to get started and like ballpark a price on that?
So you have to have a computer.
Yeah.
You have to have a printer. Um, you have to have some type of little bit of area that you can like, you know, do stuff. But that's like you have to have Keepa. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna have to have that. Other than that, you don't need anything else really.
Yeah. Supplies, I guess, to pack the stuff.
Yeah, you supplies too. You know, I would suggest getting into like some type of group when you're new. You don't really know whatever like leads and stuff
Yeah.
like getting in like one of these Discord groups that like has like Amazon leads. Like you don't want to buy these Amazon leads that are in there, but like they show profitable stuff. It can get you into thinking. And then as far as like money to start, I mean, that's really like it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I would say at least like save up at least $2,000 $2,500,
Yeah.
just because like you want to be able to manage your money. Like if you cannot save up like $1,000 $1,500 $2,000, if you can't live life and save up that much money, then like it's going to be hard to like manage a business and like keep track of your expenses and spending and stuff. Like you have to have your personal expenses in order before you can
Yeah.
like really start a business. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would say like $2,000, like, or even 1,000. Like 1,000 is a good mark to shoot for. Having $1,000 and then like this equipment and stuff. So you know,
Yeah.
1,200, something like that. Like with
I
the
agree. I
groups.
think about that. Like if I was talking to a friend, I would say you need realistically at least $1,000. You have to have Keepa. You have non-negotiable. You have to have Keepa, and then everything else you can bootstrap. Maybe get a free edition of Inventory Lab. 30-day free trial, and then go from there. But yeah, I think it would be tough to start
Yeah,
without that.
to see if you like it, like if
Right.
you know, $300 or $400 just to like, you know, buy some inventory, see how it goes, how's the shipping
Totally.
process, like, you know, at least that much, like just to dip your
Yeah.
toes in. And then if that works, like, you know, then inventory lab is an absolute must for
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. What tools are you using current day?
So
Hey, let me put it this way: paid tools.
yeah, so Keepa, of course,
Yeah.
inventory lab. I use AZ Insight. That's what I use as my profit calculator. AZ Insight has a lot of other like small little things in it
Yeah.
too. Um, OA Buddy, I have OA Buddy.
Me too. Yeah.
That I
But
really like.
that's like a one-time purchase. Yeah.
Yeah. Reoccurring expenses. I have QuickBooks.
Okay.
I have A2X. So they're not managed that well. My next purchase is going to be somebody to account for that, like help me with accounting.
Yeah.
There's
What's
probably
A2X? Is that like accounting specifically for Amazon?
yeah, it can it's does it when you're like for QuickBooks, like when Amazon payouts go into QuickBooks, they're not separated into Amazon seller fees and like
Mm,
referral fees and
yeah.
like whatever this refunds and stuff. It's just a straight up payout, like straight
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
income. A2X breaks it down piece by piece, and then on your profit loss statement in QuickBooks, it'll show like what fees were what. Like it's so I have
Okay.
that, and I'm trying to think. I don't think of
I
I don't think anything else. I'm in some groups, so like I'm in Chris Grant's OA VIP group.
okay.
I'm in Product for Profits or whatever. I'm in that group.
Okay.
I'm in the Village FBA Facebook group. I'm actually a group expert in there. So I'm in a few different groups too as like reoccurring expenses.
So
And
you definitely see value in I don't know if you want to call it mentorship, but like um paid knowledge. Like you don't see any clearly you believe in, hey, this is going to be well worth the return on it, which I think is a great message, by the way,
yeah,
if you can afford it.
yeah, for sure. Tools though, yeah, I don't have that many, Keepa, Inventory Lab, AZ Insight. I
A
don't
repricer.
use
You have a repricer.
REPRICER. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I use Profit Protector Pro.
Yep.
That's what I use. I
That's what
did
I'm
use,
using too. I went from Aura, which was um what's it called based? I'm going blank, but not, it wasn't AI. It was rule based. Then I
right.
went to Seller Snap, and I can't believe I paid $500 a month now that I have Profit Protector Pro at
I did the same
65.
thing. Yeah.
And I swear by it. It's absolutely great. Gets the job done. The only thing I've noticed with it, I set it to super aggressive, or else it'll leave your profit too high to get sales.
It does. It does.
But
Yeah.
you learn a little bit. So yeah, and I mean, I guess another thing I had a hunch that's kind of what you're going to say though, and I want to just drive home the fact you don't need 100 tools and subscriptions. Personally, I have Keepa, Inventory Lab, the Repricer, and Seller Amp. And Seller Amp, I saw you made a comment about. I'm really curious about overrated. I'm not throwing out fighting words like that, but I will be honest. The only thing that I use it for is another estimate on how many sales per month. And I like that when I'm OA sourcing, it pulls up listings that I can't get sometimes from manually typing them into Inventory Lab. I also haven't dove in all the way, but I'm curious what made you say that. So, and let me say one last thing. I think, my hat's off to Miles and Warner. Those guys are freaking beasts. They're crushing it,
Yeah.
and they're part owners. So they have a huge audience, and it makes sense for them to promote it. And it is a good tool, but I haven't used it maybe to its full potential to jump on the wagon that it's like an absolute necessity. So like, I'm curious your take on it, because I know you have no skin in the game.
Yeah. So Seller Amp, I mean, it is a good tool. Sometimes I just like to start stuff. Not to say
I love it.
Seller Amp. So like, but as far as like the way that people, so because like there's comments and people's like, man, I don't amp, like it just really like started coming out with this year of like being pushed of like whatever, like reverse sourcing, like been doing that way before Seller Amp, like
Yeah.
profit calculator. There is like a lot of information in Seller Amp. For somebody that's new, it's good. It's just like it has so much to it, like, and then you got to scroll down, like it's too much for me personally,
Yeah.
because I know what I need to see. I will say, I will say this about Seller Amp, that like things that it has that no other thing has. So like AZ Insight does have a Google export function. So like people talk about Seller Amp, Google export, like AZ Insight does that too. But Seller Amp has it to where like you can have different spreadsheets that it will export to. Like you can be like, okay, let me export it to this spreadsheet instead of this spreadsheet. Like AZ Insight will export it to like the same spreadsheet all the time. Like you can change it, but there's more clicking. But like Seller Amp, you can customize like what spreadsheet to send it to, and then you
Yeah.
can copy the source link and put it in there.
Yeah.
And on there, when you're doing retail arbitrage with Seller Amp, like the Keepa chart is when you're, so like I do like that, and I do have a
Yeah.
Seller Amp subscription because like I don't want to be a hater. Like let me try it one more time.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then like when I'm scrolling doing the storefront stalking and like trying to scroll, I keep having to click load more. And like, you know, when I'm on somebody's storefront, like I can just scroll through their stuff. I've looked at so many products, I can scroll through their stuff. I hover my mouse over it, and like I can see the Keepa for, I usually have the Keepa overlay for like the last year.
Yeah.
And like I can see a lot what I need in that small Keepa graph. And then if I want to exploit more, I'll just open the thing. Um, you know, so
Yeah. I got, like I said, in all honesty, like I need to I need to learn all of the features of it. I mean, I'm still using it because it's at a price point that even if just what I use it for, it still makes sense to me. But I had to bring that up because I saw that. I thought that was funny.
yeah.
Um, all right. So taking up enough of your time before we sign off, though, I want to ask you two things. What, we've talked about this before, I think, but like maybe not actually. What is the end game for you when it comes to Amazon? And the reason I asked that, I had a moment recently. I know I've mentioned to you I have a different business, and I was trying to. Sometimes I just sit back and take an hour or two to like really try to get my thoughts out and write numbers down and go over my expenses and everything. And I was like, Amazon is such a great opportunity, but I'll never be able to sell it as my arbitrage business. Like there's no market to buy my arbitrage business. Whereas in a different, more traditional business, I could have an exit strategy. And so for me, that's one of the reasons I'm not willing to go all in on Amazon and continue to grow my other business too. And I'm curious, like for you, what do you have a vision of your end goal or end number, or where do you see taking Amazon?
So I like Amazon. You know, just the aspect of like how we're doing like right now, like it provides a lot of things for me, like with the cashback and stuff that I get. Like I pay for my vacations,
Yeah.
I pay for all my clothes and stuff, like I Kohl's cash, Hibbits, rewards, like I can buy all my clothes and stuff by like rewards. So like I probably don't know if I'd ever stop it in that sense.
Right.
But I'd like to get into private label. And I see, a lot of people, on Twitter will private labelers will be like, oh, if you're working more than 7 hours on your Amazon business per week, you're working too much or whatever it is. Like, I want to be able to build a brand. I want to be able to, possibly sell it. Like just the challenge of that,
Yeah.
like being able to create a brand, bring it to, a certain amount and then sell it. Like it seems really appealing to me. Like it's a challenge that I'd like to be able to do. It's just like so much to it that like I don't know how to diversify unique products, like how to, I'm not the most creative person. I'm good at looking at data and sorting through data, but like I'd
Yeah.
like to, um private label seems like a way. If things go a certain way, I might, start doing like wholesale and like have a warehouse and
Yeah.
whatever. I did a lot of warehouse work, from age 18 to like 25. Like I worked
Okay.
in a warehouse all the time. But yeah,
Okay.
definitely want to get into private label though. I do want to do
I
that.
think that's smart. I think about that myself. I've thought about it a lot. Like I think that people first off, there's always noise. This is saturated, that's saturated, this is hard, this is easy, horror story, good story, there's always noise. And winners win, right? But
Hmm.
like private label, I like that because it's the one model where there is an out and there is an exit strategy. And by the way, if you learn how to do private label, you don't have to put all of your eggs in the Amazon business or basket. There's also Shopify in your own sites as well. And that I really like as well. I've also looked into print on demand on Amazon, but it's like, how many eggs am I going to put in the Amazon basket? On one end, it's Amazon, but on another, it's like, I'd like to mitigate a little bit. So I'm with you on the private label. I mean, I think it's just comes down to finding it's data, and I think
Hmm.
finding the right mentor, and you can outsource the branding or design or creativity or whatever else that you don't feel you're adequate in. But
Yeah.
that's interesting. I think the same. And then as far as, so that's a long-term goal. You see where you're at number wise. Like what are you thinking? Like what are your upcoming spend goals for 2023? Revenue, profit, like what margin do you hope to be at? Like, and this will be the last one, just like, tell me about your 2023 goals.
So I've continue on like I'm going, but I think that Amazon will offer me another loan, a
Mhm.
bigger loan. Um, so I'm trying to think of like how to like utilize that. If I have more money to spend, that means more money to spend, and I'll have to source more. So having I'm probably going to hire a VA this year
Yeah.
if I do, because like as far as prep work, like I can't bring prep help into my house. Like I work out of my living room.
Right.
My girlfriend hasn't showed interest in like helping at all, so like, which is cool, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, so as far as like having prep help, like I'm gonna have to like send a lot more to my prep center. um you know I figured I would outsource the sourcing a little bit more, kind of continue on like I'm doing, to where, but like I don't know, I might get another prep center just
Mhm.
so I don't have to have so much in house here.
Yeah.
um Really just kind of filling all that out. As far as like, goals, I'd like to take some time to like to develop something private label. I know there's a few of us, you know, Amazon sellers, OARA, that like sometimes dabble in the private label. So like probably reaching out to them, getting
Yeah.
into like creating a group of guys or friends or whatever that's like, want to like do something. And like I'd like to have like more, I do mastermind with a few couple people, but like, having a group that like, we can share certain things or whatever, creating something more like that.
Yeah.
My margins, um, like I I want to I try to go for at least 15% margin, but like I'm not messed up if something tanks and like I have to sell it for a lower price.
Yeah.
Ideally like 20 to 25% margin, which would leave me at least, 40 to 60, 70% ROI on things. I will go as low as like 25 to 30% ROI.
Okay.
When you're spending a lot of money and doing a lot, like, you can't hit home runs all the time.
Yep.
And um sometimes you're buying so much, sometimes things tank and things go bad. And you know um yeah, I just like to continue on as far as like hitting $100,000 months. Like the numbers don't really mean a lot to me anymore. Numbers are numbers. Like numbers are just numbers, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
eventually it's just like, okay, you hit 100,000, like so what? Like what now? Like it's just,
Yeah.
it becomes numbers. But like developing systems, I guess, I'd like to be more organized.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
feel you.
probably hiring at least one VA for sure.
Yep. I'm with you. I think what I'm gonna do is set a get started with a VA and just give them like clear cut. Something that I do a lot of is out of stock. Show them something that I can show exactly how to do it, or look up no sales rank and keep a product finder for these 50 brands, and that's it. You know what I mean? And like that alone, I would imagine could make tens of thousands of dollars a year. So
Hmm.
that's awesome, man. Like whatever you do, I'm sure you'll succeed at it. You have a winning mindset, that's for sure. So again, I appreciate you being here. Where can people check you out online?
So I am on Instagram and I am on Twitter, David AMZ Hustle. So Instagram, Twitter, that's where I'm at. I don't have a YouTube channel yet or anything like that, but
Cool.
hopefully soon. Maybe content. I'd like to create more content this year. I'm on
Yeah.
TikTok too at David AMZ Hustle. I just don't do as many TikToks either.
Yep. Awesome. All right, man. Well, again, appreciate you being here. You're one of the first ones I connected with, and I'm glad we got to catch up over the internet today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man.